Hey y'all, Biohack here. In today's video, we're going to go over some of the champions I use the most for live arena. And I'm just going to show you their builds and talk about what the strategy behind what the builds were. The basic idea here is you guys are constantly asking me like, oh, what's this champion look like? What's this champion's build? What's this champion's build? And I want to basically have a place that I can link and just say, hey, go look here, check out the build, and hear a little bit about the logic behind it. So there's two champions I use a lot that I'm not going to go over specifically their builds, just to not give too much away and make it too easy for people to find my comps. That is Kaja and Arbiter. Kaja and Arbiter are my two fastest champions in the game. I typically pair the two of them together for go first teams, right? And basically the way I built both of those champions is Kaja's actually built a little bit faster than Arbiter. This is mostly to deal with Tormund teams. It's also because she has a little bit better gear than Arbiter. Well, originally I had gotten some protection accessories for her before I was able to get any for Arbiter, which means I could get the 5-set bonus from protection set. In case you're unaware, the fastest champions, or the fastest combination of gear in the game, is actually 3 protection accessories, 2 protection artifacts to get the protection 5-set bonus, which is basically the equivalent of 2 speed set bonuses, and then you combine 2 speed sets on top of that. I only have 2 protection accessories for her that are actually good, so I run basically 2 of those and 3 for a 5-set bonus, and then I run 1 speed set for the speed set bonus, and then I have 1 just offset piece. So that's basically the equivalent of 3 speed sets, but you get the benefit of being able to use like a quad speed that you got for some offset piece and still get value out of it. So yeah, anyway, the way I build her is both those champions is I use the Hell Hades optimizer. I optimize purely for speed, and then I just look through the top builds for the ones that have maybe a couple speed less but give me more effective HP, and choose those ones. Sometimes I'll also do like the balance mode in the HH optimizer, max speed, and then put like 1 point in HP, because HP is a little more valuable than defense in arena. And sort of use that to get a guide for how tanky those champions could be. But either way, those are those two champions. That's how they're built. The next one we want to talk about is Warlord. This is my most commonly picked support. He is in 1 turn of Stone Skin, which I can achieve by getting 2-piece Stone Skin accessories. So I have this ring here, which is decent. I have this amazing amulet here. It's only a 5-star, but it quad rolled in accuracy. So it's so good for him. Of course, crit damage is not exactly the ideal main stat, but he's not here to do anything other than just like lock people out. I mean, I guess his healing and all that is fine. Like if I could get more HP for him, it would be great. But at the end of the day, I don't care. It's mostly all about the accuracy. And then he's in speed sets to get enough speed. His speed is at 350. He's going to be a little bit faster. I'm trying to chaos dust some of my gear around to get him a little bit more accuracy, and then I'll get his speed up to about 355. That is so that he can be as close to speed tuned as possible with Kaja, so that he can lock people out if they end up banning my Arbiter. Accuracy is 650. That's a little low. I would like to get it higher than that, but it's just as high as I can get it right now. He's going to be, in terms of blessings, my top priority is to get Kaja to 6-star, then to get Arbiter to 6-star, and then Warlord will probably be the next one on the list after that. Masteries, I mean, we just go down the support tree, picking up all the accuracy and getting more accuracy. It's just all about getting accuracy on him. Okay, those are the supports I mostly use. I honestly don't use a lot of other supports except for niche picks. I do have a Pythion here who is just in 1 turn Stone Skin. He's a resist stacker, 763 resistance. I could honestly probably get more than that. I should probably rebuild him. He's built tanky resistance, relatively slow speed there. I use him rarely, but mostly just as like a cleanser. Other champions on the list I use sometimes in terms of supports. We use Nehkret. I really want to redo his build at some point. He's in a very slow, high HP bolster. So it's basically just maximizing his HP and bolster set. You can see he's got very low speed. I honestly think I don't use him much in live arena. I think if I was going to use him a lot in live arena, I would go for a super fast 6-piece Stone Skin build. and that would let me sort of take advantage of his ally attacks to try and kill people and get like go first style. Not go first necessarily, but could do some interesting stuff with that. So I might rebuild him at some point. That's his build. Okay, let's talk about the nukers. Primary nuker on the account probably is Georgid. He is 3-star with Soul Reap Blessing, and the main thing we're going for here is speed. He is very, very fast, 287 speed. I want him to basically be speed tuned with the Kaja and the Arbiter. He's not quite there, but he's getting close. So that, excuse me, so that he can basically not get cut in on. We can just go Arbiter, Kaja, Georgid, nuke. This obviously means I have to sacrifice some damage to make this happen. I've got 700 or 7,300 attack, give or take. Low crit damage, 206. There were some other builds that were slightly more damage with a lot more crit damage and a lot less attack. And I kind of like this one because if you run into reaction, sometimes you don't crit, but you can still kill the enemy with enough attack. So especially if it's like a nuker or something, like a squishy nuker in reaction, you can still kill him even if you run into a reaction proc. Like imagine someone like a Leorius, for example. So that's his thing. The other thing that's really nice about Georgid is his A2 has this unresistible decreased turn meter. So one of the ways you can play Georgid is actually to combine him with your 2 go first champions where you like speed boost, push the turn meter of the enemy back, and then that lets your 3rd nuker or your 4th champion, your 2nd nuker, come in and get their attack off before the enemy ever gets to take a turn as well. So that's kind of why I like having Georgid be super fast. Okay, another champion that I use... Well, okay, we'll talk about Staltus in a second. The next champion I actually want to talk about, I think, is going to be Quintus. Quintus is my primary pick to counter Taurus teams. He's also excellent against Rotos. He's excellent against Harima. It's all about his A2. I have a couple of videos on Quintus. He's also my primary damage dealer in my Nightmare Hydra team. He's very, very good in Hydra. He hits way harder than things like Acrizia because he doesn't have the limitation of max HP hits, only dealing 10% of the boss's health, and he can hit for like 1.5 million on a decapitated head just with his A1. Anyway, his build is pretty fast as well. He used to be a lot sort of even faster than Georgid. I used to have Georgid go after him for when I was dealing with Rotos teams. But he's 280 speed, 276% crit damage, 6,000 attack. And again, he's mostly coming in to deal with Taurus, although he's great for a single target nuker against a lot of stuff. Foli is another champion I use a lot. Foli's build... Oh, I guess I could show the masteries. I'll just go over these real quick. I mean, the nuclear masteries are all pretty much the same, right? Put this over here for a second. Just go down and get Helm Smasher, right? His A1 hits really hard, so things like this can be kind of nice, but it's just Helm Smasher. We'll go show Georgid just in case too, but I mean, I don't know. There's no nuance here. This is pretty basic stuff. Mastery, basic nuker masteries. Foli, same deal. He is a little bit slower than he was before this most recent rebuild. He's 260 speed now. His job is to come in and kill Wukong. That's it. If Wukong is not in the team, I don't pick Foli. Particularly nuke Wukongs, it's really nice to pick him. I win fights pretty frequently because they pick a couple of nukers, or they pick a nuker and a Wukong, and then I ban their other nuker, come in with Foli, one-shot the Wukong, block revive, and the fight's basically over. So that's what he's good there for. He can also be nice to counter things like Kymar because of his passive, which gives him turn meter boost. I should probably book that. I didn't realize it wasn't completely booked. Gives him a turn meter boost when he gets a debuff. So if Kymar tries to sleep him, it'll just give him a turn meter boost, push him ahead, and then he can kill the Wukong that way. So yeah, that's the Foli build. Masteries, same deal here. I like to get the shield breaker just to make sure if we run into Wukong that's being protected by bolster, we have enough damage to get through it. But that is the Wukong build. All right. Or not Wukong. That's the Foli build. Next one maybe is worth talking about is Staltus. Staltus is sort of an interesting build because he's built a very high health relative to a lot of Staltus. I think I still have him. Yeah, I have him in an HP chest. I've moved his gear around a little bit, rebuilt him. He's in an HP chest with a defense ascension, 2-piece protection, and then lethal. He is there for a few things. You notice he's got a little bit of accuracy, 238. That is very helpful for landing his stun. I like to bring him in Honestly, just as much to stun as deal damage, but he can be really nice because he brings a self-increased defense. So if they ban your like Arbiter or whatever, he can still smack. But the stun is really what I use him for a lot, and the HP is just there to make him tanky for go second stuff. So a lot of times, if I'm running a go second team, it'll be like Staltus, Warlord, Nehkret, and then like a squishy nuker that's being protected by the Nehkret, and then I'll bring something in like a Kaja. So they have to ban me, well, like my Warlord or my Kaja, and I don't know. And we can get basically Nehkret into the team, protecting someone, and then because Nehkret's in the bolster and Staltus has a ton of health and a ton of defense, he's very hard to kill. So that's what I like about this build, and I think it's worth sacrificing a little bit of defense and a little bit of damage to get his HP way up. That's sort of how he goes. In the similar vein, defensive nuker, Ragash. Ragash I have built a little bit faster. He's 270 speed, way less tanky. There are 38,000 health, so very low health, about 6,000 defense, 232% crit damage. His build isn't great, to be honest. I don't use him a lot. I use him very selectively, usually against things like I don't know, teams where I can basically use him for the stun. That's the main thing he's bringing in to sort of like keep the nukers locked out. And a lot of times it'll end up with like Ragash and Staltus in the same team, and they'll kind of like alternate their stuns to just keep the enemy locked out as much as possible while I whittle them down. But yeah, that's his build. And you know, he comes in as a niche pick sometimes. Speaking of other niche picks, we have Gnishak here. Gnishak I pretty much only bring in if I need someone to take down people in Stone Skin, and Georgid alone isn't going to do it. Or if they pick Georgid, a lot of times people will build Georgid himself in Stone Skin. And so I'll use Gnishak as a counter, or if there's a Hefrak on the team or something like that, we can bring in Gnishak as a counter. I use him a lot in 3v3 as a bomb activator as well. His build is 263% crit damage, 240 speed, and 5,589 or 86 attack. He's got fairly low accuracy. He's only got 200 accuracy. The idea here is I want to land the bombs on the nukers, but not on the supports, because I don't want to trigger polymorph on the supports. He has no resistance. So it's essentially like a damage dealing build. Like he actually hits pretty hard with just the base damage of the skills, but the bombs are there just to land on the nukers to kill people in Stone Skin. So he shows up for time to time, but not a lot. Other sort of niche champions, sometimes I bring in Rotos, especially if I want to use a go second team, or if they're doing something like a Leorius plus a champion that needs if I know that there's a champion in Stone Skin and a Leorius or something, I can do Georgid and Rotos to deal with the Leorius or something like that. Where is my Rotos? I also use him a lot in 3v3. So this is him. His build is 239 attack, 232 speed, 5,500 or 5,500 attack, 239 crit damage. That's what I meant to say. And so that's the Rotos build. And then I think the only other champion that might be worth showing you in terms of nukers is Xena. Don't use her. Actually, you know what? There's Timit as well. We'll talk about Timit too. Xena, she's slow, high crit damage, high attack. Xena basically only gets put into the team to stop a Siphi from doing her turn meter boosting. So if I'm trying to challenge someone in the speed race and they're bringing in a Siphi, in the right context, Xena can come in and basically stop the Siphi from being able to turn meter boost, because if they do, Xena will get her turn meter filled all the way up, and then she'll just come in and nuke the enemy down. So that's kind of what I use her for, but not a lot. And another fairly niche pick is Timit. Timit's build isn't amazing. He's got pretty low crit damage. Oh, you can't see that, but it's 187. Fairly low accuracy. Again, sort of this like hybrid build where it's like you want enough accuracy to land your debuffs on the nukers, but not the supports, with the idea being that the supports are the ones that are likely in polymorph blessings. So if you have low accuracy, probably won't land, but you can still land it on the nukers. 94,000 health, 187% crit damage. Mostly bring him in as like a control champion, especially if it's something that I know can't res. So for example, if they're running like a like if they run like a Duchess, UDK, Nehkret, Harima, Rotos team, for example, what I can do is ban the Duchess and then bring in Timit, and the Timit buff strip will remove the immunity that the Nehkret puts up, and then we can fear the enemy with his A3. And then we can also do things like bring in Staltus to stun and that kind of stuff. So it's mostly for clearing off that immunity on Nehkret teams and CCing the enemy, trying to keep them locked down, especially in a team, like I said, like that UDK Nehkret double nuker team that doesn't have any revivers. Timit's weakness is low damage, but as long as you can keep the enemy locked down and you can just kind of disrupt them constantly, you can still kill them very easily with Timit. It just takes a couple turns. So that's kind of what he does. Okay, I think that is pretty much it in terms of people that actually show up in Arena. As far as nukers go, I guess there's one more support we could show you, which is Ramantu. I do bring him in from time to time as well, particularly again to challenge sort of Nehkret UDK teams. With Georgid on my roster now, like him countering Nehkret is not nearly as important because Georgid can one-shot people that Nehkret is protecting, but for Nehkret plus UDK, it can be a little bit of an issue. So his build masteries are Eagle Eye, and then he's built in hybrid accuracy and resistance. So his accuracy is only 400, his resistance is about 400 as well, 314 speed. The idea here is that we want to be able to strip the nukers. Again, it's mostly for blocking the passives of nukers. Think people like Wukong, Rotos, Taurus, that kind of stuff. But we want to resist any potential polymorphs, so that's why he has the resistance, so that we can try and get around that, and that's sort of the deal. One more nuker I totally forgot. Actually, two more nukers I totally forgot. We have Blood Gorged. Blood Gorged I've been using more and more, primarily as... Oh, I need to finish leveling his gear. I totally forgot. Primarily as a counter to Torment. He's built relatively fast in one piece or one turn of Stone Skin. The idea here is if they run like 3 supports, a Torment, and another nuker, I can ban the other nuker, turn meter boost the Blood Gorge into the lead, and then one-shot the Torment with the block, revive, ignore defense skill, and then at that point they're basically out of the fight. They won't have any nukers, and so Blood Gorge can do a great job in terms of that. And that's primarily the main thing I use him for in Elite Arena. Another champion that's primarily used as a Torment counter is Valkanen. Valkanen is a fun champion. I have him in this build here, which is a 6-piece, or 6-piece Tone Skin. Decent attack, 6,000, kind of low crit damage, 200%, and then 383 resistance. So the idea here is he's very, very susceptible to polymorph. Honestly, I need to boost his resistance even more than this. So the polymorph, or the resistance, is there to try and block the polymorphs. His damage is really good. Like, he does not have a problem dealing damage. He's going to kill almost everyone with his A3 ability, especially as long as he has increased attack, or his secret skill, I should say. But his problems are more around polymorph and the fact that you need to kill an enemy on your team and then wait before you can actually take your turn to do your big ability. So that's why the Stone Skin build is like this, and that's why we run resistance. And yeah, that's what also makes him good against Torment, is because you don't have to worry about getting frozen in the 4-piece Stone Skin. Or the 6-piece Stone Skin, rather. Okay, I think that's everyone. I'm trying to think if there's anyone else on here that we actually use. I think that's pretty much it at this point. We've retired some of the other champions I used to use, like Deacon I never use in Arena anymore. Phoenix I never use. Jetney I never use. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So, all right, I hope you guys found this useful, or at the very least, you now have a reference to look up my champion builds, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers.